All right, there's a very famous question. What is tefillah? What is davening? Why do we have to daven? If Hashem knows everything that's destined for us, Hashem knows what we're going to get, what we're not going to get, what we need, what we don't need, why do we need to daven? Does He need us to beg Him? And when we're asking, are we going to change gezaitis? Is Hashem not going to give it to us if we don't ask? Is that how it works? And there's many, many more questions that people are very confused about. I want to address that in one aspect which I think could be very helpful to many people today. When we daven, one of the greatest reasons that I found that why we need to daven is that we daven to Hashem and we say, Ribono Shel Olam, I want to have, let's say, money. Ribono Shel Olam, I need panusa, I need money. What you're saying is, if you're asking something from someone, you're saying that you have the power and you have it and please give it to me. In other words, it's building betuchen. It's building a minna, reliance on Hashem, and a minna and faith in Hashem. If you have a minna betuchen by davening Hashem, you are the one that can give it to me. It's not my ishtadlus, it's not everything that I do for business. It's you are the one that's giving me panusa. It's building a minna betuchen in you, and you're getting closer. That's when you're becoming a keli. That's when you're becoming a vessel to be able to hold and to become that. And what happens is, when we have a minna betuchen, what happens to us? Why does Hashem need us to have betuchen in Him in order to give us something? Why do we need betuchen? Betuchen is reliance and to rely on Hashem. What does that mean? It means that we are saying that we are a vessel, we are able, ready, willing, and able to use the blessing that Hashem is giving us, which is, let's say in this, our scenario is money, panusa, we are going to use it in the right place because we realize it's coming from you, Hashem, and we realize that we are here for a purpose on this world, and we realize that everything is coming from you, and therefore we need to listen to you, Hashem, how to use the money. And why does Hashem need us to know that? Because money or any other brucha could be a brucha or a klula. Levrucha v'loy leklula v'daven Hashem. Every single blessing that a person has, they could turn it into a klula. How does that? Because if, let's say, Hashem gave someone children, and he's always complaining, my children wake me up at night. You're taking a brucha and you're turning it into a klula. Hashem says, what? You don't know how to use this. You're angry at the kids. Or whatever we have in our lives. So Hashem gives us a bruch, He gives us rain. Imagine wouldn't rain. Such a nasty day. We are translating a bruch, we are turning a bruch into a klula. And when it comes to money, and Hashem says for someone, I really want to give this guy panusa, but the person is not ready. If they're going to work on their betuchen, by davening to Hashem more and more, and realizing that, you know what, let me use the money, should be a brucha. Am I really a brucha, a person that's going to turn money into a brucha? How many people take their money and they turn it into the greatest klula, the greatest curse ever in their life? They become egoistic when they have money. They bury other people. They become narcissistic. A lot of them leave their wives and they get married to someone else because now they're big, they could do something else. They're always looking for something more. They're spoiling their children. They're giving their children, buying them stuff, and then when they get married, their own husbands don't have nothing to give them because they took their daughters to flower every 5 minutes. They bought them tetzisrul and bought them everything they need. So this girl is never, there's no room left for the son-in-law to take care of your daughter and to give her something that's going to make her feel wow, or your son, and vice versa, obviously. How many times, I'm a therapist and I deal with so many people with shulam bayis, with so many couples, and how many young couples are telling me that their parents' money was their greatest curse that they ever had. People only wanted their money. My parents never felt like they have real friends. Everybody was just, it was money that was turned into a curse. How many times do we have a certain amount of money? And Baruch Hashem, today there's a lot of people making quick money. Certain people, most of us are struggling, but many people are making quick deals. They have a lot of money. But I'm asking you, don't turn it into a klula. Turn it into a brucha. Be careful with your money. Make sure you don't. How many times we marry off our children? They grew up in a house where there was cleaning ladies morning and night. They had whatever they wanted. They never had to do the dishes. They never had to wash laundry. They never had to do anything. Then they're getting married. You don't have enough money to give them to have a full-time cleaning lady. What you did is you took your child and you made it very tough for them to live. I deal with so many young couples. They are struggling because they grew up so lavish and the parents don't have enough money to do that. They grew up in a house where there was only every room, another kid in a different room. They never had to learn to live with someone in another room, and let alone living with a husband, living with the opposite gender in one room, and sharing drawers and sharing stuff, and being able to give and take. People are spoiling their life, their own children, And how many times do we have money and our children don't know, the young couples, they don't know how much money is my parents going to give me? Are they going to help me? They feel bad asking the money from the parents. If they do, they get so confused. If you have panusa, Hashem gives you money, use it for a brucha. Tell your children, your married children, say, listen, I'm ready to give you every month this and this amount. I want to help you get into business at this amount of money. Be upfront. Tell them how much money you're going to give them. So many young couples struggle. They come from such rich families, but they're living so poor. They're living so confused. In one hand, their parents splurge. They'll take them to Israel for a month in the summer, and then the whole winter they don't have money to pay their rent, and they don't have money to pay the tuition for their children. The problem is that many times people, when we have a lot of money, we don't want to give our children, subconsciously we don't realize, we don't want to have our children stand on their own feet. We don't give them money that they should be able to open up their own business and make their own money. We want them to rely on us subconsciously, so we give them enough to live sometimes. We don't give them enough to become, to shtav the eigene fies. We don't give them money to invest in a business. If we do it once, it doesn't go through, we let them go. The idea is, use your money for a brucha, that it should multiply, to get your children. How many bucherim that I'm dealing with, their parents give them open credit cards, they're in yeshiva, and it's a Yisrael. The parents have no idea. They get into such trouble. I'm dealing with these kids, I know that you never give your child endless money when they're in yeshiva or in dormitory. You give them as much money as they need to spend. Give them a debit card, never a credit card. They need more money, they should call you. Because other bucherim, other girls, are going to use their advantage and get them into buying stuff that are not good. And it's very hard for me to elaborate on a video. I had a young man that came to me recently. His father is very, very wealthy. There's a lot of money. He says he has extra money, this and that. He's so bored with his life. In life, we need to pursue something. We need to get something that we don't have. That keeps us going. And so many children have whatever they want. You marry off your child, they give them an endless credit card. What happens is they get so bored. They get into fights with people. The small things bother you. It's a very simple thing. You know, the pyramid of needs, right? If someone is in the Holocaust, if someone is in Auschwitz, they didn't think about anything other than food. Once they had food, they were thinking about shelter. Once they had shelter, they were thinking about family. When they had family, they think about, and then later we come to money, ego, and power, and everything else. So if you're giving to someone everything right away, what are they getting? What are they doing? They don't appreciate their wives. There's nothing they can do. They don't appreciate their husbands because they have endless money. You need your children to work to earn something. Of course, you should give them more than a poor person gives them. I'm telling you, it's the greatest curse, the greatest klula that you can do for your child is giving them endless money, or not telling them when you're going to give them money, how you're going to give them the money. It's so many confusions going on around money. And this is something that I was waiting such a long time to say it. There's so much to talk about this, and so many more examples. I really hope that this message is going to make a lot of people that are starting to make panusa or to make sudden, a lot of people made very good deals now with this, with that, and they're splurging and they don't know what, I just spoke to someone and he told me that he's struggling to pay tuition. So I asked him, what's your issue? You have your grandparents are such rich people. He said, yes, my grandparents donated buildings. And now when I came to the school and I the application, they said, oh, we want you to pay full price. He said, I can't pay full price means, I don't know about, like $1,000 a month. So how can I do that? He said, this is your Zayda. He's so rich, your family has money. We're not going to give you a discount. You have to be careful. If you want to live rich and tell the world that you're rich, you have to make sure that you have money to pay for it. If you're taking out your children to restaurants once a week, you have to put away money to give it to them after they get married. They should be able to go out with their husband or with their wife once a week in a restaurant. You have to remember everything as an outcome. If it's simple. Some people have $2 million. So they'll buy a house for $2.5 million. A house for $1 million, a house for $2 million, the maintenance is double. If you have $1 million, you can buy a house for $800,000. Let's say it's, obviously you can take mortgages and stuff, but I'm just saying as an example. So if you have a certain amount of money, make sure you're living a little less. And don't show the street and don't show the community that you have more money and just spend the money with it, because then your children and your aniglach are going to suffer. Or they're going to become very egoistic. They're going to become thinking that they're more than everybody else. They deserve more, and they're going to turn into rotten people and nobody's going to want to marry them. They're going to be gefeilig. How many times do you see out through history, the greatest rich people, the kinder, the aniglach turned into be a disaster. And it was never, you have to be very smart when it comes to spending money. So therefore, how many times Hashem says, this person, I want to send you the money. And you daven, you say, Hashem, efet mich nicht. Are you really a kaila? You should make up your mind now. Everybody should write down, if I'm going to have $10 million in my bank account, what am I going to do with it? And my child comes over to me and asks me, I want a new bike, a new phone, a new this, a new that. Every 5 minutes, am I going to give it? Have the money, why not? Make sure that you have a plan, that your brucha, whatever brucha you're asking for, if it's money, if it's for children, if whatever you're asking for, shadichim, make sure you are not going to turn it into a klula. It should stay a brucha. And this is the greatest segula to have a kaila. And that's one of the reasons why we need to daven to Hashem. We are davening to Hashem because we need it. We're asking, we're begging. We understand everything's from Hashem. And then when we have it, we don't forget that Hashem gave it to me. And He gave it to me, why? That I should be a vessel to use it as a brucha. How many times Hashem doesn't care about someone, so to speak? I don't know what that means, pinklich. But sometimes the Rishum get, the Rishum get, that that's bad for tzaddikim and good for Rishum. And sometimes, how many times does that happen? Because Hashem says, you know what? But sometimes if you're a tzaddik, Hashem is not going to give you the brucha because you're going to turn it into a klula. Do you complain about your bruchas? Do you complain about your children, your noise, and the this and the that? Some people are complaining, my second house, I always have to go there. My third house in Florida, and I have to... Are you complaining about a brucha? You complaining about a brucha? So that's why Hashem wants us sometimes to daven and beg that we should come to a place, before He gives it to us, to realize, 1 minute, what am I asking for? Am I ready for this? Am I going to deal with this right? Or am I going to forget 2-3 years later, I'm going to have all the bruchas that I want, and it turns out to be a kluda. So make yourself a kaila, and this is one of the reasons why we daven. We daven to Hashem, that we should build our betuchen and realize that everything's from Hashem, and we should make sure that we are a kaila to accept this blessing from Hashem. Kol tov.